So Box Clever is really written because of my obsession with quadrants. I love quadrants just because they're so simple. They make things that are so complex very simple and straightforward. And I think in a complex world where some ideas can be so difficult, sometimes cutting through that noise and seeing it in a simple form can help. So really what I wanted to do was write something that will be helpful and practical and inspiring and powerful to help people create their own change. I think one of the reasons that I wanted to write the book was, and actually all my books, is because I've written the book that I wanted myself to read and couldn't find. So with Box Clever, I couldn't find quadrants in one place. You find them spread around different leadership books and kind of hidden on a page in the middle, often without any explanation at all. And I thought, actually, what I want is a whole book of these quadrants to help me work out how I can best live and lead and find my own way through. And so I think one of the things that I love the most about leadership and about my own leadership is working out where I am and where I want to be and then how I get there. And essentially that is what this book is about. So it's helped me, and I guess all of my books help me first. It's the learning that I've had to do, the journey that I've been on, and I hope that also helps other people. I think one of the things I hope readers will get out of the book is just an ability to identify where they are. And there's no shame in identifying that we're not where we want to be. But I think identifying where we are and then working out where we want to be, and then crucially how we get there, is the thing that I want people to take away. So people will take different things because we're all in different places, we all have different challenges. I hope it might be a book that people come back to, depending on what challenge they're facing, and find a quadrant that might just help them clarify what's going on, get straight in their own minds, and then create the change they want to see. The book is aimed at anybody who is a human because these are human issues. How to handle conflict, how to have the right people around you to give you the right kind of energy, how to work out where your own attention is going. All of these things are really, really important, and they're not talked about enough in my view. And in leadership, all of these things are accelerated because you're visible and you're leading others. And so we have to lead ourselves well. And so this book is really for anybody who's interested in their own leadership, their own development, whether that is a classroom teacher, whether that's somebody who's leading a business. It's for anybody who's seriously committed to making their own change. In an ideal world, what I would love is to get emails, perhaps in a year's time, from people saying, I read your book, I identified some area that I wanted to change, I've done something about it, and I feel liberated as a result. Because that's what all this is about. It's about helping people get unstuck. And so many of us get stuck in things that we shouldn't be stuck with, but we just can't find any help anywhere. And so part of wanting to write this book is to help people become unstuck. So if anybody reads it and just gets a little bit more clarity about their own leadership and moves forward because of it, then that would delight me. I hope the book really inspires people to change themselves, really. I think in the world that we live in, often we point at other people and say they need to change. It's not me, it's you. But actually it's always us. We can always do something to change. We can always do something to do something differently. And I hope this book inspires people to do things differently, to think differently, to take ownership over their own leadership, their own development, their own thoughts, and start instigating the change. And if that helps leaders themselves, it will also help all the followers who follow them. And so that is really what I hope will be the ideal outcome. There were so many quadrants. I had actually 65 and I had to whittle them down to 11. So these are my 11 greatest hits. I think it depends what mood I'm in and depending what my issue is. I think, so it's difficult to answer the question around what is my favourite quadrant, because I deal with quadrants a bit like a prescription. So I come to them with a problem and then I think which quadrant is going to best help me with that problem. So I guess right now, I think one of the things I'm really aware of is where I spend my time and who I spend my time with to give me energy. So I'm very aware that if I don't have very important people, very very inspiring people in my life, then I don't feel full, I don't feel energized, I feel less inspired, and then I'm less productive, I'm less fulfilled. And I think personally that I know now the secret to my own life is if I'm fulfilled, then I feel I can do anything. It's not about happiness, it's not about everything being right, it's about having the right people at the right time to inspire you to be the kind of person you need to be. And so right now I'm really looking at where I spend my time, where I spend my energy, who is in my inner circle, if I've got different voices in there to help stretch my thinking, or whether I've just got lots of people giving me the same view. Because I think it's important as leaders that we have diversity of thought, because we don't want to just have people who say yes, we want people to challenge. And so I'm spending a lot of my time at the minute getting that absolutely right. There were many moments in writing this book where I had to stop and do some serious reflection. One of the things as a writer that is the funniest experience is being convicted by your own words. So when you read through a chapter and think, oh, hang on, I don't think I did that yesterday, or I don't think my meeting went that way, and I've talked about it in the book and I need to go back and look at that again. So I take writing as a personal challenge. I want it to improve me, and I want to have lived what I'm asking other people to do, because otherwise I don't think that's integrity. So I really seriously try and live by the words that I write, and I mean it. And so that means at times I do have to pause and reflect and change, because that is the whole point of the book, to identify where you need to make a change and then change it. So I have found lots of moments to be ones of little periods of conviction that have brought self-reflection, and even rereading before I came here, I found exactly the same thing. So one of the questions that people often ask me is, how long did it take you to write the book? And it's a difficult one to answer, that, isn't it? Because ultimately, a lifetime, really, because I started reading and collecting quadrants about 7 years ago. So I have hundreds of books in my study with stars in the corner of pages that just says quadrant, because I knew I'd use it at some point. And so I've had to go back through hundreds and hundreds of books to find these quadrants that I've marked over the past 7 years. And some I didn't have anything for. So I wanted a quadrant around conflict. How can we make sure that we deal with conflict appropriately? I wanted a quadrant on how about tension and how we manage tension and how different groups of people manage tension. And then as part of finding the quadrants, I then found other research that linked to it. So it's ended up being this huge chain. You kind of look in one area and it leads to other areas. And that's the most exciting thing I think about writing, is that it leads you on a little trail of discovery for things that you've never even thought existed. And a lot of the work that I quote is brand new work, just out in the past 12 months. So again, it's very up to date, it's very modern, it's very relevant, as well as going back to some theories and some people who've been writing for years. So I've tried to put an eclectic mix in there of things from all across the world, every different type of writer, different industries, because I think it's important to learn just from outside of education, not just inside of education. And we can learn a lot from business and psychology and how people do things in different areas of life.